My name is Andy Rummel, and I am the professor of tuba and euphonium here at Illinois State. I'm in my 20th year of teaching at ISU. I'm super humbled and proud to be here, more so because I went to school here. I have my bachelor's degree from Illinois State, but even before that, I spent many years as a band camper at ISU. I came here, I stayed in Manchester Hall, and we had our rehearsals in this building. I had an absolute transformational week, and it was just the coolest thing. And that's when I met Ed for the first time. Ed was the tuba euphonium professor here. He's also the person that created the big red marching machine that we have today.
And conducted by Director of Band, Professor Ed Livingston, we present the ISU Big Red Marching Machine.
And I remember very distinctly after that week, my parents were driving home when I said, I am going to go to college at ISU, and I'm going to study to be a band director. I'm going to study tuba with Ed Livingston, and I never changed my mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ed Livingston is professor of tuba and euphonium at Illinois State University and will be retiring in December. His students are currently performing in every major service band in the country, as well as many major symphony orchestras throughout the world. He is the former ISU Director of Bands and creator of the Big Red Marching Machine. He was also the creator and visionary of this very contest. Each of us here today owes a great deal to Ed Livingston. We say thank you for your years of unbiased love and commitment to the students and bands of the state of Illinois, and best wishes on yet another new venture in your life. Ladies and gentlemen, Ed Livingston.
He had such an impact on me that he was the reason I came to ISU. I graduated in 1997 with my bachelor's degree in music education, and it was at that point that Ed Livingston had retired. Ed had many students that had won jobs in military bands. At one point, the entire United States Navy Band in Washington, D.C., that whole entire tuba section of 4 tuba players were his students, which was a pretty significant feat. There is only ever one tuba player in a symphony orchestra, so the competition is very fierce, and the jobs are very few and far between. So I always found myself to be a little bit more of a band person anyway, so the military band aspect of this was intriguing to me. Looking back even in the Revolutionary War and the Civil War, that was how they used to communicate. They would use the musicians to be able to communicate different aspects of what was going on in the battlefront. 35% of the work I did in the military, maybe 40, was very ceremonial in nature. The experiences that I had while I was in the military made me very aware of what our service members are having to deal with. I was actually supposed to be moving to Germany to play in the Air Force Band over in Germany, and my wife and I were going to move over there. But this position came open. It's my alma mater, and I went and spoke to my commander in the Air Force. I said, you know, this job at ISU is open. It's home. Like, I know I'm supposed to be moving to Germany. I know I'm in the middle of enlistment, but can I poke around a little bit? And he says, if you get the job at ISU, I'll get you out of the Air Force. It wasn't until early August that I knew I was officially getting out of the Air Force. Then classes started mid-August. So it was a really quick transition, but got here in 2006 and I've been here ever since. If you would have told me when I was an undergrad at ISU in Big Red Marching Machine that I would someday be back here teaching, I would have laughed at you because I'm like, there's no way. Ed Livingston's office used to be my office, and the very first tuba lesson I ever had in 6th grade was in that room that was my office. So when I got here to ISU to teach, I picked up my keys. I went to go put my key in the door. My hand was shaking so much I couldn't even get the key in the door. And it just was so surreal to me. And Ed was retired at this point, and he knew I got to work early, so he would call, and this is before we had caller ID on our phones here, but I'd hear the off-campus call. I'm like, hello? And he's like, what are you doing in my office? I'm like, oh, it's my office now. It was just really surreal to be back here. You know, people who were once my professors are now colleagues, which was also really bizarre for me. But I am so fortunate. I love my students so much. I am so proud of everything they do. It's 20 years of doing this. I still look forward to coming to work every day. To me, being able to pass on and celebrate the successes of all the great things that my students are doing is like, that's my number one. That's what wakes me up every single morning and keeps a smile on my face most every day.